You do that.
We will be doing that, and I think it's something that the NPA is working on, and we should see that. But it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost, and the consumer should be prepared to pay that cost for that protection.
But obviously, it's not a cost that, I mean, it's still not as high as having to pay without.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree, and I think it's imperative that we do it, and it's something that I am going to push as much as possible to get done.
I think all banks in Ghana will be significantly affected. Perhaps not all banks, but every sector of the economy. This year alone, we expect that some of the oil partners will bring in at least 3,000 workers, expatriate workers. They'll need accommodation, they'll need schools, they'll need to eat, they'll go to restaurants, they'll go to hospitals, whatever. All this means that banks will need to be involved in oil-related services. This is just the people coming in. We haven't even begun to speak about oil services, drilling services, plant pools, hotels and other services which will be required to support the oil industry. So as a bank, I think we will certainly be involved in the oil industry, more downstream than upstream. And already we're involved in some oil services related financing.
What happened about 2 weeks ago, just before the president, just around the time we were going to get a visit, there were queues.
Yes.
Queues disappear. Queues pop up every now and then. What accounts for the queues?
Well, generally, queues would occur when there is a perceived shortfall in the market.
Perceived shortfall.
Perceived, yes.
Doesn't have to be a shortfall.
It could be a shortfall, but it could
But
also...
the perception can also create it.
Yes, and queues or could also appear when people decide not to sell products. And you know, when it's coming towards the time we announce the prices, sometimes you go to a filling station and they tell you there's no petrol.
They're waiting for the new price so they can make some more.
There's speculation, when people speculate. But this particular one was caused by a shortage of petroleum products. And shortages of petroleum products come about. It could be that we couldn't get vessels in. It could be that we couldn't get letters of credit
No, I mean in
established.
this specific case. I didn't want you to speculate. I'm saying, what was the reason in this specific case?
In this specific case, there were two factors. The number one factor was as you know, we're importing all the products into the country. The Tamale refinery hasn't refined for commercial production this year. It's just refined to get the plant back. It has undergone a major maintenance. So we've relied on the bulk trading companies to import products into the country. They have been doing a good job, and they continue doing a good job. And we work with them. We manage the stock levels all in the country to ensure that when there is a shortfall, we can go into the market to bring emergency cargoes. And this is what we did. We also have a strategic stock reserve, which is managed by BOST. And we released those into the country because the suppliers could not get letters of credit established. And also, we also had...
That's where the difficulty starts.
Starts. And then it was compounded by the fact that we had bad weather. If you remember, somewhere in June, around June 20th, we had very bad weather in the country. And it affected the swells on the sea. You see, our product is pumped from an installation, which is about 6 kilometers, about 4.5 nautical miles. In the ocean, yes.
In the ocean.
Absolutely.
And it's pumped
all the way into the tanks, either Tamale refinery, APD, or one of the bulk distribution tanks where we have. And there were swells, and the mooring company, the company that manages the station, lets us know whether it's operable or not operable. And it's
a natural cause. I mean, essentially what you're saying
is a force
is that
majeure.
there was
an
bad
act
weather.
of God.
Yeah,
that was also the cause, because what that did was, because we're bringing in about 8 ships a month, and each one takes about 3-4 days to discharge, load, more, discharge, on more. And as such, if you have 6 to 8 days of bad weather and you can't bring it in, you have a backlog of ships.
But you've got stock. You say you've
That's
got...
why we
you've
released
got
the stock. We
No,
released
but
the
what I'm
stock.
saying is, why was that stock not released to prevent
It was.
the thing from... Yeah,
It
but
was
there were
released.
queues.
We released, the ship was supposed to come in on the 18th of June. We released the stocks towards the end of June.
So you released the stocks late.
No, we didn't release the stocks late. Though we had some stock. It was a strategic stock we released late. But what happened was that strategic stock finished, and that vessel couldn't come in. The vessel couldn't come in not because of the swells, but because there was another vessel discharging. And that was the vessel was discharging diesel, gas oil. And when it came into this vessel's time, the supplier's letters of credit could not be established.
Yeah.
And that is what caused the delay. It took us 4 days to get their letters of credit
How
established.
often do we get tankers coming into this discharge?
We do about 8 discharges a month.
So if you, let me just, so I just want to get a sense of something. So assuming that there were no discharges for whatever reason, such as this, how long would we survive?
We normally keep stocks, we should normally keep stocks 4 to 6 weeks, but it's very expensive.
But that's tight business. You mean
Very
within a month
expensive.
you'll be in trouble?
No, because they're vessels, we call them floating storage, right outside our coast.
Sitting
waiting,
on the ocean?
Just sitting.
Selling petrol?
Selling. It's a business.
You mean that?
Yes, that's what they do. And you just take vessels there and load.
So what is the need for Temawa refinery?
Temawa refinery is important because having a refinery is a business. They do make money. And it's also, if we expand the refinery, we could sell products to neighboring countries, for example.
Finished products.
Finished products. And then that would be a business decision.
In a competitive sense? I mean, since
In a
the market is
competitive
open
sense.
and people can bring finished products in,
Yes.
could we be competitive?
Yes, I mean, Temawa refinery does have some competitive advantages. Our supply of crude oil is close by, it's Nigeria, and guess what? It'll be closer by soon.
Absolutely.
So we have a
you're talking about Ghana's
source,
oil.
a cheaper source because freight is quite expensive. So we have a cheaper source in terms of the freight, but you will be buying the crude oil at market prices.
But I don't understand that. I mean, you just said it. If our oil is down the road from
Yes.
here, I mean, why should that not make it possible
For example,
for things to be cheaper and better?
it will be cheaper. The freight will be cheaper. But the cost of the oil at the wellhead will be the same for somebody buying it in Ghana or somebody buying it to take it to America. But the cost of freight will be higher for the person to take it to America.
But that's fine. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is we understand that there's a particular price we can't do anything with. But that's not the whole price. Then there's a range of other things. So I'm saying, is it possible that because now we have our own, we'll have, let's not get ahead of ourselves here, our own source of crude, I mean, given the Jubilee oil fields and so on, can that not translate into some relief?
It can translate, but it wouldn't be from the cost of the oil. It will be from the revenue government gets from all of this. And government can then decide that it can remove all the taxes that it has put in the price buildup.
Yeah.
Okay? Government could even go further to say, I would even subsidize by first removing the taxes and even, pay the oil importers or the refinery to reduce the price further. Whether that is the right decision
It's another matter.
It's another matter because we have schools, we have roads to fix, everything. Why should they subsidize, the price of petrol for you and I?
Precisely.
So, I mean, that is a...
These are considerations.
These are considerations which are a little outside my scope.
Yeah. Alex, tell me, I want to turn my attention now to the emerging oil and gas industry. In your view, what does this mean for Ghana?
It opens a lot of opportunities for us. We are going to have a lot of people working in the upstream sector. That means oil production, more exploration.
Ghanaians,
Ghanaians, but we have to be prepared for it. We have to make sure we can train our people, our artisans.
You see, we always told this. So unless that is done, there's no Ghanaian involvement.
There would not be Ghanaian involvement
Upstream.
in certain very technical areas unless we have that expertise upstream. luckily, I know that GMPC have invested a lot in human capital. And yes, GMPC has been downsized over the years, but there are a lot of Ghanaians who, like me, worked in GMPC and are prepared to come back to Ghana to fill in these roles. And I think the government will create the opportunity for them. GMPC as a corporation will attract good quality people and pay them the remuneration that they deserve.
Are those the opportunities that you are referring to downstream?
Those are upstream.
I mean upstream.
Yes, but the other opportunities are, artisans who are going to be working on these rigs.
Like
Artisans fabrication, supplies. The whole oil services industry is going to boom in Ghana. It's going to be something we haven't seen before. But to be in it, we have to understand it. And really understand where it's going to take us and make sure that we can develop the human capital for that.
So people, Ghanaians must, in reality, rather than assume that they're all going to be busy and working directly in the oil and gas industry and directly and making money, you're saying it is important that we understand that the support, the industry that support that industry are the place of opportunity.
Absolutely, and it's a business. Training the people, recruiting people is a whole business, and there are people, the Ghanaians, who even do this in other countries for the other establishments. So I think we are ready for it, but people should do more research. People should things should be opened up for people to do. And I think a lot of people are looking at joint ventures with foreign companies who have this expertise. This is a way to transfer the knowledge to us, and I think we should start by that way if we don't have the expertise in these areas.
Shouldn't we bring Ghanaians that live all over the world back home? Isn't this the time for it, really? I think
it definitely is, and Ghanaians are coming back. There are a lot of Ghanaians who have worked here, gone out, and are coming back.
Because of oil and gas?
Because of the opportunities that the oil and gas industry provides. And on the downstream sector, you have opportunities of, now you can build more refineries, you can do petrochemicals, you can build storage tanks. Ghana can become the next, Rotterdam, the biggest tank farm in West Africa.
Are we ready?
We're ready, but we need the money.
You see.
We need the money, but
you must talk about that. You used to be with Standard Chartered Bank.
That's right.
And I'm sure that part of your experience, and I would imagine that you could input at this point in time, pretty much in terms of financing. Tell me about that a bit.
I think it's critical. Like you mentioned earlier, we're talking about why there were shortages. It's important that people understand how we finance oil in the country. The banks give letters of credits to the suppliers from the buyers here. And these letters of credits basically is the bank saying, I will pay for you when